Hello. It's been said that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. In fact, nutritionist Adele Davis said in the 1960s we should eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. What she was saying is that breakfast is so important in setting you up for the day and giving you the energy and strength for all that lies ahead. We should have a good breakfast. We should eat like a king. Well, today we are going to look at a story not of eating like a king, but eating breakfast with a king. As 7 of the disciples meet with Jesus, who says to them, "Come and have breakfast." And that invitation to come and have breakfast is one that wasn't just for those disciples, but for us as well. Today we are going to think a little bit about what it might mean to come and have breakfast with Jesus. My name is Mark Fairweather-Tall, and I share this message on behalf of South Wales Baptist Association. Our reading is from John's Gospel, chapter 21, and we are reading the first 17 verses. Jesus and the miraculous catch of fish. Afterwards, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas called Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. "I'm going out to fish," Simon Peter told them, and they said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some." When they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there, with fish on it and some bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." Simon Peter climbed aboard and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the 3rd time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The 3rd time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the 3rd time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." We give thanks to God for his word to us. few weeks ago, I saw a headline in a newspaper that read, "Walker stunned to see ship hovering high above the sea." David Morris captured the image on camera whilst walking near Falmouth in Cornwall. Apparently, this is an example of what is known as a superior mirage. Such illusions are fairly common in the Arctic, but can happen in UK winters when the atmospheric conditions are right. Normally, we expect air temperature to cool down the higher that you get. So if you go up a mountain, you know it's going to be cooler than it is down at the bottom. But occasionally what happens in certain conditions is that the warmer air lies above colder air. And that provides the conditions for what can be a superior mirage. You see something, can I believe my eyes? The answer is no, the ship wasn't in the air. As we look at this story today, we are seeing, in effect, the reverse of that, because the people are on the boat, the disciples are on the boat, and they have to ask, can I believe my eyes? Can I believe my eyes about the catch that we've got? And as I look to the shore, can I believe that it really is Jesus? And the answer is a resounding yes. Let us consider the story a little more. Simon Peter and 6 of the disciples have gone out fishing. They've been at it all night trying to catch fish, but have caught absolutely nothing. Then, as daybreak begins to happen, there is a voice that calls to them from the shore, "Haven't you caught any fish?" And the answer comes, "No, we haven't. Throw your net onto the other side and you will catch fish." And they do this, and suddenly they have this enormous catch of fish. 153, John tells us. Can they believe what's happening? Can they believe their eyes? Yes, they can. The fish is evidence of that. I love some of the explanations that there are in the commentaries about why it might be that there are 153 fish. Why is that significant? One explanation is that there were 153 languages at the time. Another, Jerome, said that actually there were 153 species of fish, and therefore that signified the wholeness of the gospel message, that Jesus died and rose again for everyone. Some of the other illustrations, they get a little bit more complicated. Cyril of Alexandria suggested this, that the number 153 is made up in the following way. First of all, 100, which represents fullness, as in 100 sheep in the pen, as in 100-fold times the harvest that you get from the seed that falls on good soil. So you have the 100. That represents the Gentiles. And then there is 50, which represents the remnant of the Jewish people. 150, leaving you with God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. 153, representing the fullness of everyone involved in the Easter resurrection story. Augustine came up with something even more clever. He said that actually there are 10 commandments and 7 gifts of the Spirit. And would you believe it, if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 17, guess what you get? 153. And that, according to Augustine, represents all those who are saved by the law and the Spirit. Well, you can choose those explanations and which one you prefer out of those, but I just wonder if it was something a little bit more simple than that. 153 fish. This was an amazing catch. Could they believe their eyes? It was so large. How were they going to describe how large it was? I just wonder if somebody simply decided to count how many fish there were. They could believe their eyes. The fish was evidence of that. But there's another way in which they had to ask the question, can we believe our eyes? As the miraculous catch of fish happened, perhaps their minds were drawn back to that incident years before, recorded in Luke's Gospel, chapter 5, when there was another fishing trip. And at that moment, they caught nothing all night either. And somebody called to them to throw their nets onto the other side, and they had a miraculous catch of fish. And the one who's described as the disciple whom Jesus loved recognizes what is happening, and he says to Simon Peter, "It is the Lord." Could it be so? Well, Simon Peter, man of action, jumps out of the boat and goes the 90 or so meters to the shore to see and to check that it really is Jesus. Could they believe their eyes as the other disciples come back to shore, as they go and see Jesus? None of them will ask who he is, because they know it really is Jesus. They can believe their eyes. And what does he do? He offers this wonderful invitation to them. Come and have breakfast. What he's doing in this moment is he's saying, look, come and spend time with me. I want to offer you my time and my love. How are you going to respond? Well, the disciples, they went and had breakfast with Jesus. And that invitation to come and have breakfast is one that is for us today. Still, Jesus invites us, come and have breakfast. Come and spend time with me. He has got time for us, and he cares for us. He cares for us for who we are. He cares about our physical needs. You know, he has breakfast ready for those as they come back from a long night of fishing. And I wonder if where we start today on this first Sunday after Easter is to hear again that invitation of Jesus to us as he says, come and have breakfast. I've got time for you. I want to care for you physically and spiritually. Come and meet with me. As we have this Easter time, perhaps one of the questions we can ask of ourselves is this: am I responding to that incredible, wonderful invitation? Am I making time to spend with Jesus who says, come and eat with me? Am I enjoying the wonder of what it means to bring my problems, my issues to Jesus who says, come and have breakfast? Perhaps at some point in this Easter period, we can spend time, create time, make time to say yes to that invitation. Yes, I will spend time with you, Jesus. I will allow you to care for my needs. Jesus says, come and have breakfast. What's our response to his wonderful, incredible, generous invitation? Well, when I was growing up, I spent a couple of years living in Cardiff. My dad was minister at Tredegarville Baptist Church, and the manse was on Drow Road. And I do like to be able to go and reminisce sometimes at places where I have lived before, which I remember from my past. So here we are outside number 57 Drow Road, where I spent a couple of years growing up. Reminiscing and looking back is all very well, and for Simon Peter perhaps there was something of that temptation. As we join the story, we're told that this takes place after the previous events where Jesus has appeared to the disciples already. These were in Jerusalem, but now afterwards, at some point, Simon Peter and the disciples have gone to Galilee. Galilee was the place where Simon Peter was from. He decides to go fishing. Fishing was what he used to do. There is that temptation, perhaps, to look backwards to how things were before he met with the resurrected Jesus. Perhaps he's asking the question, what difference does meeting with the resurrected Jesus mean for me in my life going forward? And that's why the invitation of Jesus to come and have breakfast is so significant. Simon Peter jumps out from the boat immediately and he rushes towards Jesus. And then after breakfast, there's that significant moment in what we often call the reinstatement of Simon Peter, where he's asked that question by Jesus, "Do you love me more than these?" Perhaps he's being asked in that moment where he's had such this incredible catch of fish, "Do you love me more than the successes that this world can offer? Do you love me enough that you will leave behind what is familiar and what was perhaps comfortable to follow me wherever that will take you?" Simon Peter's answer is, "Yes, I will. Yes, I do love you, and yes, I will feed your lambs." What about for us? You see, Simon Peter has gone through that moment of looking backwards, but now looking forwards. What about us? What will we do? You see, I think we can face the temptation sometimes in our lives to be drawn back to how things used to be before we met with Jesus. Successes of this world, things that this life offers us that might be contrary to what the Bible calls us to, can be very tempting. And when we first meet with Jesus, we might be praying and the words of the Bible are alive to us and it's exciting. But over time, we can be drawn back to how things were before we met with Jesus. And yet the call is to face forward and to move forward. What does that mean for us? What does it mean for us this Easter time to look forward and to move forward from here? What does it mean for us to love Jesus in this time? And do you love me more than everything else that this world can offer? Do you love me enough to follow me wherever I call you to go? Simon Peter says, yes. What about us? I wonder if there's something for our churches to learn as well about looking forward and what the future might hold, rather than that temptation to be drawn just to look back. The last year has been incredibly tumultuous for churches, not being able to meet, not being able to sing together, all the things that we perhaps loved about church not happening. And the temptation for us is to simply hope that everything will go back to normal as soon as possible. And that's understandable, and there's lots potentially that will be really good about that as well. But I wonder as well if, just as Simon Peter was being called into something new, and had to understand a new way of living in light of the resurrection, whether that is something for us at this time as well. Jesus asks Simon Peter that significant question, do you love me? Do you love me more than these? Do you love me more than the traditions of church? Do you love me more than the way that you have served me in the past? Do you love me enough now to feed my lambs, with whatever that might mean going forward? You see, when he says to Simon Peter, feed my lambs, he's saying, look, I want you to tell other people about the good news that I've risen from the dead. I'm alive. That's the same gospel message that we give today. But the way we do it may be different from the way that we used to do it. The way that we do church, so that others may come to know Jesus, might need to be different. Do you love me enough to allow your church traditions to change? Do you love me enough that you will follow me even if things don't go back to the way that they used to be, much though you might want it to be so? Do you love me? Simon Peter was willing to give his life in a very different way to move forward with Jesus because he wanted to follow the call. That challenge is for you and me as well. What's our answer going to be? Both as individuals and also as a church. And so we have the invitation to come and have breakfast with Jesus. An invitation to understand that our physical as well as our spiritual needs are met in him. He's got time for us, he loves us, he values us, he wants to spend time with us. And also an invitation to look ahead and not back, to look to what the future is, to the calling that Jesus has on our lives, to feed his lambs. Yes, breakfast with Jesus, and the invitation, come and have breakfast. Truly the most important meal we can have.
From this coming Sunday, the 15th of November, we'll be able to book in to watch the live stream of the morning service. If you're able to and would like to come along, here's how.
Firstly, you'll need to book your place. You can do that either by following a link from our website www.bethelcardiff.org.uk or by calling Lorraine on our new booking number 07565 930 791 07565 930 791. If you are calling outside of office hours, please just leave a message for her.
If you've missed either of those contact details, please don't worry, they'll be in the description below. Please remember to bring your mask and keep it on throughout the service.
We are required to keep the building ventilated, so please do wrap up warm.
The porch doors will open from 10 a.m. And if you need to queue to get in, please remember to keep 2 meters apart.
Once you're in, one of the welcome team will then guide you to your seat.
The countdown for the live stream will go live 5 minutes before the service, and so we ask everyone to be seated by 10:25 for any preliminary instructions.
Finally, remember that we are coming together to worship, and although we are not able to sing together, the Bible invites us to make melody in your hearts to the Lord.